Taeho Kim walked through the rebuilt Galactic Council chambers, his footsteps echoing in the vast hall. The same hall where he had once pleaded for his species' freedom. The same hall where 47 alien species had voted unanimously to enslave humanity. Now it looked very different. Where alien delegates had once sat in judgment of humanity, human guards now stood at attention. The ornate seats that had held the galaxy's ruling species were now filled with captured alien leaders, their hands bound with energy restraints. Taeho wore the uniform of Supreme Commander of Humanity, a rank that had not existed 3 years ago. Behind him walked the other members of the Human Tribunal, Sujin Park, Seung-hoon Park, and 12 other leaders who had guided humanity through its darkest hours to ultimate victory. The Great War was over. Every alien homeworld had surrendered. Every human slave had been freed. The galaxy's rulers now sat as prisoners in their own council chambers. "This tribunal will come to order," announced Ji-won Song, serving as the chief judge. She had been a Supreme Court justice before the invasion. Now she presided over the trial of an entire galactic civilization. The charges were read in 47 different alien languages, translated by the same systems the aliens had once used to coordinate. Humanity's enslavement, crimes against sentience, genocide through forced labor, conspiracy to eliminate a sapient species, violation of the fundamental right to exist. Each charge carried the weight of 8 billion human lives. Each count represented years of suffering, families destroyed, dreams crushed under alien oppression. The first to stand trial was the former Speaker of the Council, the tall Thessi commander who had announced humanity's enslavement 3 years ago. "You classified my species as subintelligent," Taeho said, standing directly in front of the alien leader. "You said we were suitable only for forced labor. You voted to make us slaves." The Thessi's tentacles writhed nervously. "We believed it was for the greater good of galactic stability. Your species showed patterns of unpredictable growth that threatened established order. So you decided to stop our growth through chains and whips," Sujin Park interjected. "She bore the scars of 3 years leading Earth's resistance. You broke up our families. You worked our people to death. You planned to exterminate us when slavery was not enough." "We made errors in judgment," the alien replied. "But we acted according to galactic law as it existed then." Gi-won Song looked up from her notes. "Galactic law created by species like yours to justify the oppression of species like ours. That law is void. This tribunal recognizes only one authority: justice." One by one, the alien leaders were brought forward. The Vorthic Empire's crystal commanders who had worked humans to death in their minds. The Nimari Republic's gas form leaders who had poisoned human agricultural workers. The Kelran Empire's mechanical overlords, who had treated humans like defective machines. Each had the same defense: they had only followed established precedent. For thousands of years, the galaxy had enslaved primitive species without consequence. They had thought humans would be no different. "That is exactly the problem," Minesio Yang told the assembly. She had emerged as humanity's moral voice during the war, advocating for justice tempered with wisdom. "You never considered that your precedent was wrong. You never questioned whether you had the right to enslave other beings." The aliens listened as human after human testified about their experiences. Du Hyen Lee spoke about the mines where humans died daily from exhaustion and dangerous work. Mi Young Lee described the agricultural camps where humans were poisoned by alien chemicals. Wu Jin Choi told of the shipyards where humans built the weapons used to enslave other worlds. The testimony went on for weeks. Every crime was documented. Every act of cruelty was recorded. The aliens sat in stunned silence as they learned what their efficient labor management had really meant to their victims. But the most powerful testimony came from the human children, who had been born in slavery, young people who had never known freedom until the liberation came. They spoke of growing up in camps, of watching their parents work themselves to death, of believing they were truly inferior because their alien masters said so. "You tried to kill our souls," said one young woman who had been born in a Vorthak mining camp, You wanted us to forget we were human. You wanted us to accept that we deserved to be slaves. As the evidence mounted, something unprecedented happened in the council chambers. Several alien species began to turn against their former allies. The younger representatives, who had not participated in the original enslavement vote, publicly condemned their elders' actions. The Kelran Empire formally apologizes for its participation in human enslavement, announced a young mechanical being. We recognize that our actions were morally indefensible and request the opportunity to make amends. Similar statements came from factions within other alien species. Not all of them had supported the slavery policy. Some had been overruled by their military leaders or ruling castes. Now they saw a chance to distance themselves from their government's crimes. This created a new problem for the human tribunal. How do you judge an entire species when not all members were guilty? How do you balance justice with the need to build a better future? The answer came from Minesio Yang, speaking for humanity's conscience. We will not repeat the aliens' mistake, she announced to the assembly. We will not judge entire species by the actions of their leaders. Justice must be individual and specific. The tribunal's final judgment was announced on the third anniversary of humanity's enslavement. Taeho Kim stood at the same podium where the speaker had once condemned his species. This tribunal finds the following individuals guilty of crimes against sentience, he began. The list included every alien leader who had voted for human enslavement, plus the military commanders and administrators who had implemented the policy. The sentences varied. Some alien leaders faced life imprisonment. Others were sentenced to hard labor, rebuilding the worlds their policies had damaged. The worst offenders, those who had personally ordered the deaths of human slaves, faced execution, but the tribunal's most important decision was about the future. The old galactic order is ended, Sujin Park announced. No species will ever again have the power to enslave another. The galaxy will be governed by a new council, with representatives chosen by free election from every world. This was the true revolution. Not just the liberation of humanity, but the liberation of galactic civilization itself. The rigid hierarchy that had existed for millennia was replaced by a democratic federation where every species had an equal voice. But, Minesio Yang added, this new order comes with a condition. Any species that attempts to enslave or oppress another will face the full military might of the Human Defense Force. We will be the galaxy's guardians, ensuring that what happened to us never happens to anyone else. The alien leaders who had escaped the death penalty were given a choice. They could serve the new galactic government, helping to build a better future. Or they could face the same systematic enslavement they had once imposed on humans. Most chose to cooperate. Working alongside the humans they had once oppressed, they began the long process of creating a truly free galaxy, but some refused. The most stubborn alien supremacists were sent to labor camps on barren worlds, where they experienced firsthand what they had imposed on others. They were treated exactly as they had treated human slaves, as property to be worked until no longer. Useful. The irony was complete. The species that had voted to enslave humanity now served at human pleasure. The galaxy's former rulers had become the galaxy's servants, yet even in victory, humanity showed the moral superiority that had driven their struggle. The alien prisoners were treated better than humans had ever been treated as slaves. They received adequate food, medical care, and rest. Their families were not separated. Their children were educated and given opportunities to earn freedom through service. We are not doing this for revenge, Taeho Kim explained to a gathering of freed humans and cooperative aliens. We are doing this to teach the galaxy what justice looks like, to show that power can be used to protect rather than oppress. In the end, that may have been humanity's greatest victory. Not the military conquest of their enemies, but the moral conquest of the galaxy itself. The Chaos species had not just won their freedom. They had transformed galactic civilization. The council chambers that had once echoed with votes for human enslavement now rang with debates about universal rights and interspecies cooperation. The space lanes that had once carried human slaves now carried free beings working together to build a better future, and in the center of it all stood humanity, no longer the victims of galactic cruelty, but its guardians against future injustice. The species that had once been classified as sub-intelligent now led a galaxy-wide federation, dedicated to the principle that all intelligent life had the right to be free. The aliens had tried to cage the chaos species. Instead, they had unleashed humanity's greatest power, the ability to make the galaxy better than it ha. Sung-Hoon Park stood on the command deck of the human flagship Vengeance, watching as another alien world burned in the distance. This was the 5th Fesi colony his fleet had captured this month. Each victory brought them closer to the alien homeworlds and closer to the final reckoning. "Admiral," called his tactical officer, "we are receiving surrender signals from the remaining Thessi settlements." Sung-Hoon looked at the messages scrolling across his screen. The same words appeared over and over. "Please spare civilians. We surrender unconditionally. We will provide full cooperation." 2 years had passed since the Great Uprising began. 2 years since humans had thrown off their chains and started fighting back. Now, the aliens who had once enslaved humanity were begging for mercy from every corner of the galaxy. "Tell them we will consider their surrender," Sung-Hoon replied, "after they provide complete intelligence on all Thessi military operations, and help us locate their remaining slave facilities." The irony was not lost on him. The aliens who had treated humans as property were now desperate to negotiate for their own survival. But Sung-Hoon remembered the mining camps and slave ships. He remembered the families torn apart and the humans. Worked to death, mercy would be earned, not given, on the surface of the captured world. Yujin Nam led her specialized strike teams through the alien administrative centers. Her mission was simple: find every record of human slavery and identify every alien official who had participated. Yujin had been a prosecutor before the invasion. Now she was humanity's chief hunter, tracking down the war criminals who had enslaved her people. Her teams moved through alien computer systems like digital ghosts, extracting information and building cases. "We have the complete slave transport records," reported one of her technicians. "Over 2 million humans processed through this facility, names, destinations, work assignments, everything." Yujin nodded grimly. Each piece of data was another crime to be answered for. Another alien official who would face human justice. The galaxy had thought humans would forget their suffering and accept their fate. Instead, humans were building the most complete record of alien crimes ever assembled. But finding the criminals was only half the mission. The other half was freeing the remaining human slaves. Despite the rebellion's success, millions of humans were still held captive on alien worlds across the galaxy. "Sir," called another technician, "we found something. A hidden database with current slave locations. There are still 15,000 humans being held in deep space facilities." "Send the coordinates to Admiral Park," Yujin ordered. Priority: rescue mission. Across the galaxy, similar operations were underway. Human fleets hunted alien ships and stations. Strike teams raided slave facilities and freed their people. Intelligence officers gathered evidence of alien crimes. The humans fought with a precision and determination that terrified their former masters. They had learned everything about alien technology and tactics during their years of slavery. Now they used that knowledge to devastating effect. Minho Kim sat across from a captured Vortha commander in a human interrogation facility, the Crystalline. Alien's inner light flickered weakly, a sign of extreme stress. Around them, the walls were lined with evidence of alien crimes, photos of human slaves, transport records, death certificates. "You voted to enslave my species," Minho said calmly. "You classified us as sub-intelligent animals. You worked our people to death in your minds. Now I want to know why." The Vorthek commander's voice crackled like breaking glass. "You do not understand. Humans are dangerous. Your species threatens the natural order. We did what was necessary for galactic stability." Minho leaned forward. "Dangerous how?" "Because we adapt too quickly, because we learn too fast." Because we do not accept slavery quietly like your other victims? Because you never stop growing, the alien replied. Other species reach technological maturity and stabilize. Humans continue to evolve, to change, to push boundaries. In 1,000 years, you would have surpassed us all. So you decided to enslave us before we could become your equals? Minho said. How did that work out for you? The vortex light dimmed. Even further. Around the galaxy, his species' colonies were falling to human fleets. Their crystal cities were being occupied by the same humans they had once forced to work in their mines. We made a mistake, the alien admitted. We thought breaking your bodies would break your spirits. We did not understand that suffering would only make you stronger. Minho stood up. You did not just make a mistake. You committed a crime against 8 billion innocent people, and now you will face the consequences. The interrogation was just one of thousands taking place across human-controlled space. Every alien official who had participated in humanity's enslavement was being tracked down and questioned. Some provided useful intelligence. Others tried to claim they had opposed the slavery policy. All of them faced the same human justice system that they had tried to destroy, but the humans were not just seeking revenge. They were building something new. On liberated worlds, human administrators worked with freed slaves to establish new governments. Former mining camps became research facilities. Slave barracks were converted into schools and hospitals. The galaxy was changing. The rigid hierarchy that had existed for thousands of years was crumbling. Species that had never dared to challenge alien rule were seeing what was possible when someone fought back successfully. On the bridge of his flagship, Sung Hoon Park reviewed the latest intelligence reports. The alien alliance was completely shattered. Individual species were making separate peace overtures, trying to distance themselves from the slavery policy. Some were even offering to help hunt down the remaining slave camps. Admiral, his communications officer called, we are receiving a priority message from Earth High Command. Sujin Park's face appeared on the main screen. She looked older than when the war began, but her eyes burned with the same determination. Sung-hoon, she said, the Galactic Council has requested a formal meeting. They want to negotiate a peace treaty. Sung-hoon laughed bitterly. The same council that voted unanimously to enslave us? Now they want to negotiate? They are scared. Sujin replied. Our fleets are approaching their core systems. They know they cannot win a military victory. So they want to make a deal. What kind of deal? Sung-hoon asked. They are offering to recognize human independence and return all remaining slaves. In exchange, they want us to stop our military advance and agree to a new galactic government. With humans as equal partners, Sung-hoon considered this. It was more than any human had dared hope for 3 years ago. Complete freedom, equal status in the galaxy. The return of all enslaved humans, but it was not enough. What about justice? He asked. What about punishment for the species that voted to enslave us? What about compensation for the millions of humans who died in their camps? Sujin's smile was cold as space. That is exactly what I told them. The time for negotiations was 3 years ago when Taeho Kim begged them to see us as equals. They chose slavery and genocide instead. So what is our response? Sung-hoon asked. We continue the advance, Sujin said. Every alien species that participated in our enslavement will face human justice. Not negotiated justice, not political justice, real justice. The message was clear. The hunt would continue until every alien leader who had voted for human slavery was captured or dead. Until every human slave was freed. Until the galaxy understood that the chaos species could not be caged or controlled. Sung-hoon turned to his fleet commanders. You heard High Command? All ships prepare for the final advance. Target, the alien capital worlds. Across human space, the message spread. The liberation fleets began their movement toward the core systems where alien civilization had ruled for millennia. They carried with them the hopes of billions of freed humans and the promise of justice delayed but not Denied. The aliens had created this war when they chose slavery over equality. Now they would face the consequences of that choice. The hunters had become the hunted, and there was nowhere left in the galaxy for them to hide. The Chaos species was coming home to the galactic core, and they were bringing justice with them. J-Hi and O stood on the bridge of a captured Vorthak cruiser, watching as the last alien escape pod fled from Vega Prime, below on the planet's surface. The industrial centers that had enslaved thousands of humans for 3 years were now burning. The uprising had succeeded beyond his wildest dreams. "Sir, we are receiving surrender signals from the remaining alien facilities," reported one of his communications officers. Like most of the crew, she had been a slave just days ago. Now she operated alien technology with the confidence of someone born to it. "Tell them surrender is not an option," J-Hyan replied coldly. "They had their chance to treat us as equals 3 years ago." The battle for Vega Prime had been the largest human uprising yet. 17,000 slaves had coordinated their attack across the planet's surface. They had used everything they learned during their enslavement. Mining explosives became bombs. Construction equipment became weapons. Transportation vehicles became assault craft. But the real victory was not just taking the planet. It was capturing the Vorthak fleet that had been stationed there. 12 ships of various sizes, all now flying under human command, on the planet's surface. Nying Choi led the final assault on the administrative complex. She had been a corporate lawyer before the invasion. Now she commanded 300 humans armed with captured alien weapons. The complex was the nerve center for the entire Vega Prime operation. Inside were the computer systems that tracked every human slave in the sector, the communication arrays that reported to alien high command, the administrative records that could provide intelligence on alien operations across the galaxy. "Breach the main doors," Na Young ordered. Her assault teams used stolen Vorthak energy weapons to blast through the crystalline barriers. The aliens inside had barricaded themselves in their offices, hoping their defensive systems would hold until reinforcements arrived. They were wrong. The humans moved through the complex like a flood, overwhelming every defensive position. The Vorthak had designed their security to keep slaves in, not invaders out. Within hours, the complex was secured. Nayoung stood in the main command center, surrounded by alien computers and communication equipment. Her technical specialists were already downloading terabytes of data. "What do we have?" she asked. "Everything," replied her intelligence officer. "Supply routes, patrol schedules, slave populations on 47 different worlds, and something else. Communication logs between Alien High Command and their sector commanders." Na Young read the intercepted messages with growing satisfaction. The aliens were panicking. The coordinated human uprisings had caught them completely off guard. They were used to dealing with isolated slave revolts, not galaxy-wide military operations. "Listen to this," she told her staff, reading from one of the alien messages. "Human coordinated resistance events recorded on 17 worlds simultaneously. Impossible without advanced communication network. Request immediate reinforcement and strategic analysis of human capabilities." Her staff laughed. The aliens still did not understand what they were facing. They thought humans were using some kind of advanced alien technology to coordinate their attacks. They had no idea that humans were simply better at working together than any species the galaxy had ever seen. But the most important intelligence came from the deepest levels of the alien computer systems. Technical specifications for alien ships and weapons, maps of alien homeworlds, and most valuable of all, the complete organizational structure of the alien alliance. They are not as united as they pretend, Na Young realized. Look at these internal communications. The different species are already blaming each other for the human uprisings. She was right. Across the galaxy, the alien alliance was starting to fracture. The Kelran Empire blamed the Namari Republic for underestimating human intelligence. The Thessi Collective accused the Vorthak of inadequate security measures. Each species pointed fingers at the others while their human slaves escaped or rebelled. Meanwhile, Kwang Ho Lee was learning just how fragmented the alien defenses really were. He commanded the captured fleet from Alpha Centauri, now consisting of 15 warships of various classes. His target was the Rigel system, a major alien military base. All ships report status, Kwang Ho ordered from the bridge of his flagship. Ship 2 ready for combat, came the reply from Du-Hein Lee, who had been transferred from the mines to serve as a ship commander. All systems operational. Ship 3 standing by, reported Mi-Young Lee from her agricultural background now. Commanding a destroyer, crew trained and ready. It was remarkable how quickly humans had adapted to alien technology. Within weeks, former slaves were flying starships and commanding fleets. The aliens had spent years teaching humans how their technology worked. Now that knowledge was being used against them. The attack on Rigel began with a deception. The human fleet approached using proper alien identification codes captured from the Vega Prime computers. To the alien defenders, they looked like a routine patrol returning from duty. "This is Fleet Commander Kwang Ho Lee to Rigel Defense Command," he broadcast in perfect Kelran machine language, requesting permission to dock for resupply and crew rotation. "Permission granted," came the reply. "Proceed to docking bay 7. The aliens never suspected that their own ships were now crewed by humans. The identification codes were correct. The ships were genuine alien vessels. Everything looked normal from the outside, but as the human fleet moved into the station's defensive perimeter, they began their real attack. Weapons that had been powered down suddenly came online. Ships that were supposed to dock instead opened fire on the station's critical systems. The alien defenders were caught completely unprepared. They had never faced an attack from ships using their own identification codes. Their defensive systems were designed to repel external threats, not internal ones. "All ships, target the command centers," Kwang Ho ordered. "Disable their ability to coordinate a response." The human fleet moved with precision that amazed even Kwang Ho. His commanders had been slaves just weeks ago, but they fought like veteran warriors. They used every advantage their alien masters had unknowingly given them. Within 6 hours, Rigel Station was under human control. Another alien military base had fallen. Another fleet of ships had been captured. And most importantly, another group of human slaves had been freed. But the real shock came when Kwang Ho accessed the station's communication logs. Messages from alien high command revealed just how desperate the situation had become. Coordinated human military actions reported in 47 systems, one message read. Fleet losses mounting. Recommend immediate mobilization of all reserve forces. Another message was even more revealing. Human technological adaptation exceeds all previous projections. They are modifying our equipment in ways we do not understand. Some human-modified ships show performance improvements over original specifications. Kwang Ho shared this intelligence with the other human commanders. "They are afraid," he told them. "For the first time in thousands of years, the aliens are afraid. And they had good reason to be afraid. The human rebellion was spreading faster than anyone had expected. What had started as isolated uprisings was becoming a coordinated military campaign on Earth. Sujin Park coordinated the global war effort from her underground command center. Reports came in hourly from across the galaxy. Human victories on dozens of worlds, captured alien ships and equipment. Most importantly, freed human slaves who joined the growing rebellion. "We now have operational control of 12 star systems," she told her staff. "Our fleet strength has grown to over 200 ships. And we have freed nearly 500,000 humans from alien slavery." But Sujin knew the aliens would not give up easily. They were already mobilizing their reserve forces. Soon the humans would face the full military might of the Galactic Alliance. "Send a message to all fleet commanders," she ordered. "Phase 3 is beginning. We are no longer just fighting for freedom. We are fighting for the right to exist." The message went out across the human communication network, in command centers, and ship bridges on liberated worlds and captured stations. Human leaders received their new orders. The aliens had tried to destroy humanity through slavery. When that failed, they had planned genocide. Now they would learn what happened when they threatened survival of the chaos species. The humans were no longer hiding or running, they were hunting. And their prey was every alien species that had voted for humanity's enslavement. The tide had turned. The hunters had become the hunted. And across the galaxy, alien leaders were beginning to realize they might have awakened something they could not control. The chaos species was fully awake now. And they remembered everything their ancestors had taught them about war. The hidden message reached Earth 6 weeks after Bio-Ra Shin sent it. Sujin Park sat in her underground command center, reading the decoded text for the third time. Around her, the leaders of Earth's resistance movement waited in tense silence. "This changes everything," Sujin finally said. "We are not the first humans to fight these aliens. We are the children of warriors who almost won." The room erupted in excited whispers. For 3 years, the resistance had felt like they were fighting an impossible battle. Now they learned that their ancestors had brought the entire galaxy to its knees. "What about the other part of the message?" asked Sungin Park. "The part about the aliens planning to kill all humans?" Sujin's face hardened. "We have maybe months before they act. We need to coordinate with every human resistance cell in the galaxy. No more small, isolated attacks. It is time for a real war." Across the galaxy, similar meetings were taking place. On mining worlds and farm colonies and factories and research stations, human slaves gathered in secret to hear the truth about their heritage. On Kepler 442b, Du-Hyen Lee read the message by the light of glowing crystals. His fellow miners listened as he shared what their translator Bio-Ra had discovered. Ancient human warriors, alien fear, plans for genocide. "They are going to kill us all anyway," Du-Hyen told the group. "We have nothing left to lose." The miners began planning their uprising. They had spent years learning how the Vorthic technology worked. Now they would use that knowledge as a weapon. Meanwhile, Han-Su Kang was leading a daring raid on the other side of the galaxy. He commanded a small team of humans who had escaped from a Thessi research facility. For months, they had been living in the wilderness of an abandoned planet, surviving on stolen supplies and pure determination. Tonight, they were attacking a major alien supply depot. Not just to steal food and weapons, but to send a message. The network was awakening. Humans everywhere were starting to fight back. Hyen-Su crouched behind a pile of metal containers, watching the alien guards patrol the depot. The Thessi looked like giant octopi with too many tentacles. They moved slowly, confident that no humans could threaten them on this remote world. They were wrong. "Team 2, are you in position?" Han-Su whispered into his stolen communicator. "Ready?" came the reply from Onji Lee. She led the explosives team, using homemade bombs built from mining equipment. "Guard shift change in 3 minutes. Team 3? Hyen-Su asked. "Communications array is targeted," responded another voice. 1 minute to disable their calls for help. Hyen-Su smiled grimly. His team had learned well from their alien masters. They used alien technology against the aliens. They turned alien military tactics back on their oppressors. "Execute," he ordered. The attack began with explosions. Unji's team destroyed the main power generator, plunging the depot into darkness. At the same time, another team disabled the communication array. The aliens could not call for help. Hyen-Su's assault team rushed the guard posts. The Thessi were confused and blind in the darkness. They had never faced a coordinated human attack before. Their weapons were designed for controlling slaves, not fighting guerrilla warriors. Within an hour, the depot was in human hands. Tons of supplies, advanced weapons, transportation vehicles, and most importantly, communication equipment that could reach other worlds. "Send the signal," Hyen-Su told his communications specialist. "Let every human in the galaxy know. The network is active. The uprising has begun." The signal went out to dozens of worlds. Coded messages hidden in routine transmissions. Emergency frequencies that only humans knew about. Ancient communication protocols that the first human civilization had developed thousands of years ago on Proxima Centauri b. Mi-young Lee received the signal while working in the alien greenhouse. The message was simple but powerful. The children. Remember, the network awakens. Strike now. Mi-young had been preparing for this moment. She and her fellow agricultural slaves had been secretly modifying the alien farming equipment. What looked like simple tools for growing plants could become weapons with a few quick adjustments. That night, the farm workers struck. They used their modified equipment to destroy the alien gas refineries. They sabotaged the greenhouse environmental systems. They turned the poisonous alien plants into chemical weapons against their overseers. The Nemari were caught completely off guard. Their slaves had always been the most docile. Agricultural workers were supposed to be gentle and obedient. But these humans fought like demons, using their intimate knowledge of the alien agricultural systems to cause maximum damage. Similar uprisings were happening across the galaxy. On 17 different worlds, human slaves struck simultaneously. The coordination was perfect. The aliens had no time to warn each other or coordinate their response on Alpha Centauri. Wu Jin Choi led the shipyard workers in the most ambitious attack of all. They had been building alien warships for 3 years. Now they were going to steal them. The Kelran guards were mechanical beings, powered by artificial intelligence. They were strong and fast, but they thought in predictable patterns. The human workers had studied those patterns for months. Remember, Wu Jin told his team, we are not trying to destroy the ships. We are taking them. Every ship we capture is one more weapon for humanity. The attack began at shift change, when most of the alien supervisors were away from the shipyard. The human workers had modified their tools into weapons. Welding torches became plasma cutters. Industrial lifters became assault vehicles. Construction. Robots were reprogrammed to fight against their former masters. The Kelran fought back with their energy weapons and mechanical strength. But they had never faced enemies who understood their technology as well as they did. The humans had been building these ships. They knew every weakness, every vulnerable system. Dong-wook Yu led a team that captured the shipyard's main computer center. He had been watching the Kelran technicians for years, learning how their systems worked. Now he turned their own computers against them. Initiating lockdown, he announced over the shipyard's communication system. All Kelran personnel report to security stations immediately. The mechanical aliens obeyed their own computer systems. They walked into traps, were locked in storage areas, or found their weapons disabled by system malfunctions. Within hours, the entire shipyard was under human control, but the greatest prize was not the facility itself. It was the 12 completed warships sitting in the launch bays. Massive vessels with enough firepower to level cities. Ships that had been built by human hands and were now in human control. Wu Jin stood on the bridge of the largest ship, looking out at the fleet he had helped build. Around him, other humans worked frantically to learn the alien control systems. They had the ships, but they needed to figure out how to fly them. Sir, one of his technicians called out, I think I have found something interesting. On the main display screen, star charts appeared. Not just maps of local space, but detailed information about every alien world in the galaxy. Military bases, supply routes, population centers. The aliens had put their entire strategic database on these ships. They gave us the keys to their kingdom, Wu Jin whispered. They do not know it yet, but they just lost this war. Back on Earth, Sujin Park was coordinating the global response. Reports came in from across the galaxy. Successful uprisings on dozens of worlds. Captured alien equipment and ships. Most importantly, proof that humans could work together across vast distances. The network is stronger than we hoped, she told her staff. Our people have been learning and preparing. Now they are ready to fight. But Sujin knew this was just the beginning. The aliens would respond quickly once they realized what was happening. They had superior numbers and technology. The human uprisings had succeeded because of surprise, but that advantage would not last long. Send a message to all resistance cells, she ordered. Phase 2 begins now. We are no longer hiding. We are no longer just surviving. We are taking back what was stolen from us. The message went out across the galaxy's hidden human communication network. In slave barracks and prison camps, in mines and factories, humans received their new orders. The time for secret resistance was over. The children of the Chaos species were awakening to their true heritage. They had been slaves for 3 years, but they had used that time to learn everything they could about their enemies. Now they were ready to show the galaxy what humans could do when they stopped pretending to be harmless animals. The network was fully active. The uprisings were spreading. And for the first time since the invasion, the aliens were the ones who were afraid. The war for humanity's freedom had truly begun. And this time, the humans would not be defeated by treachery or surprise. They knew who their enemies were. They understood the stakes, and they remembered what their ancestors had almost achieved. The Chaos species was back, and they were ready for revenge. Young Sunam's hands trembled as he held the ancient alien text. He was alone in the research facility's archive room, surrounded by thousands of documents that the aliens thought no human could read. They were wrong. For months, Young Su had been secretly studying their language. What started as simple curiosity had become an obsession. Every night, after his cleaning duties were finished, he snuck into the archives to read more alien history. Tonight he had found something that changed everything. The document was old, written in an ancient form of the Vorthic language. It spoke of something called the Chaos species. Young Su read the glowing crystal text slowly, his translation getting better with each word. In the third age of expansion, the Council encountered a species unlike any other. They called themselves humans. Unlike previous conquered peoples, these beings showed infinite adaptability. They learned our technologies faster than we could teach them. They modified our designs in ways we had never imagined. They bred faster than any intelligent species should. They spread across worlds like a plague. Young Su's heart pounded. This was not talking about recent events. This was ancient history, but it was talking about humans. He read further. The humans were few in number but grew quickly. Within 1 generation, they had improved our mining equipment. Within 2 generations, they had created new forms of our technology that we did not understand. By the 3rd generation, some human settlements were more advanced than our oldest colonies, the document continued. The council debated what to do. Some members wanted to study the humans and learn from them. Others wanted to welcome them as equals. But the majority feared what the humans might become if left unchecked. The vote was taken. The humans would be eliminated before they could threaten galactic order. Young Su felt sick. This had happened before. Thousands of years ago, the galaxy had found humans and tried to destroy them. But how was that possible? Humans had only reached space recently. They had only met aliens 3 years ago. He kept reading. The text described a great war. The humans had fought back with weapons and tactics the aliens had never seen. They adapted to every alien strategy. They learned from every defeat. They turned alien technology against its creators. The humans were finally defeated through treachery, the document said. We convinced their leaders to attend peace negotiations. When they came, we destroyed their fleet and scattered their people across distant worlds. We wiped their colonies from existence. We thought we had ended the threat. But the document's final section made Young Su's blood run cold. Some humans escaped into the dark between stars. They swore they would return. They promised their children would remember. They vowed that one day humanity would have its revenge. We have searched the galaxy for them, but they have vanished like ghosts. Perhaps they are truly gone. Perhaps the threat is ended. But some of us still watch the dark and wonder when the Chaos species will return. Young Su sat back in shock. Humans had been in space before. They had fought the aliens before, and they had lost. But some had survived and hidden somewhere. Earth. Earth was where the survivors had gone. They had waited thousands of years, rebuilding their strength. And now the aliens had found them again, but there was more. Young Su found other documents. Research reports from different alien species. All of them said the same thing. Humans were different. Humans were dangerous. Not because they were strong or smart, but because they never stopped trying to improve. Other species, when they reached a certain level of technology, became comfortable. They stopped innovating. They followed the same patterns for thousands of years, but humans never stopped changing, never stopped growing, never stopped pushing the boundaries of what was possible. The aliens feared this. They called it chaos because they could not predict or control it. Human unpredictability was their greatest strength and the aliens' greatest fear across the galaxy. On the communication station of Rigel 7, Ba-Ra Shin was making her own discoveries. As a translator, she had access to alien communications from across the galaxy. Most of it was boring administrative data, supply requests, status reports, personnel transfers, but hidden in the routine messages were signs of something the aliens did not want anyone to know. They were worried. Very worried. Ba-Ra had noticed patterns in the communications. Requests for additional security forces were increasing. Reports of equipment malfunctions and productivity problems were coming from human slave colonies everywhere. The aliens were having trouble controlling their human slaves, but the most interesting messages were the classified ones. Communications between alien leaders that they thought were secret. Ba-Ra was not supposed to translate these, but her supervisors were lazy. They gave her access to everything and trusted her to only work on what they assigned. She had been reading the secret messages for weeks. What she found shocked her. The alien species were not united anymore. The coalition that had voted to enslave humanity was falling apart. Some species wanted to increase security and control humans more strictly. Others wanted to study humans to understand why they were so troublesome. A few species were even suggesting that enslaving humans had been a mistake. The Kelran Empire was reporting major problems in their shipyards. Human slaves were somehow making their ships more efficient, but the Kelran did not understand how. They were worried that the humans might be secretly sabotaging the ships in ways that would not show up until later. The Nimari Republic was having food production problems. Human agricultural slaves were growing more food than expected, but using techniques the Nimari had never seen. Some Nimari leaders thought the humans might be poisoning the food. Somehow. Most interesting of all were the messages from the Thessi Collective. Their scientific cast had been studying human behavior for months. Their conclusion was terrifying to the other alien species. Humans show cognitive adaptation patterns unlike any known species, the report said. They learn from each punishment and develop countermeasures. They modify technology in ways that suggest an intuitive understanding of physical laws. Most disturbing, they show signs of coordinated behavior across vast distances, suggesting some form of communication network we cannot detect. The report concluded, recommendation: consider immediate termination of all human slaves before their adaptive capabilities pose a systemic threat to galactic security. Ba-Ra read this message 3 times to make sure she understood correctly. The aliens were scared. They were talking about killing all humans rather than risk letting them continue to adapt and learn. She had to warn the resistance networks. But how could she get such sensitive information to Earth without being caught? The answer came from an unexpected source. That same night, young Su-Nam approached her again. He looked excited and frightened at the same time. I found something, he whispered. Something about human history that the aliens have been hiding. He quickly told her about the ancient documents, about the first human civilization that had fought the aliens thousands of years ago, about the survivors who had hidden on Earth. Bo listened in amazement. That explains everything, she said. The aliens are not just afraid of human resistance. They are afraid that we will remember who we really are. What do you mean? Young Su asked. I have been reading their secret communications, Ba-Ra said. They are talking about killing all humans. They think we are becoming too dangerous to keep as slaves. Young Su felt a chill run down his spine. How long do we have? I do not know, Ba-Ra said. But some alien leaders are pushing for immediate action. We have to warn everyone. That night, Ba-Ra worked frantically to encode a message that would carry both their discoveries to the human resistance. The ancient history Young Su had found. The current alien plans she had uncovered. All of it hidden in what looked like a routine supply report. The message was long and complex. It would take careful reading to decode all the information. But it contained everything the human resistance needed to know. The aliens were not just oppressing humans for economic reasons. They were trying to prevent humans from becoming what they once were, a spacefaring civilization that could challenge alien dominance, but the aliens had made a crucial mistake. By spreading humans across the galaxy as slaves, they had given humanity access to alien technology and knowledge. They had created the very conditions that would allow humans to rediscover their lost potential. The chaos species was awakening. And this time, they would be ready for their ancient enemies. As the message began its journey through the galaxy's communication networks, Young Su and Biora went back to their normal duties. They pretended to be obedient slaves while secretly preparing for what was coming. The aliens thought they had learned from their ancient mistakes. They believed that by keeping humans scattered and oppressed, they could prevent another human uprising. They were about to discover how wrong they were. The humans were not just adapting to slavery. They were preparing for war. And this time, they would not be caught off guard by alien treachery. The hidden truth was spreading. Soon, every human in the galaxy would know what they really were. Not subintelligent animals suitable for labor, but the descendants of warriors who had once challenged the galaxy's rulers and almost won. The chaos species was coming home. Jin Wusong crouched in the darkness of the prison moon's ventilation shaft. His body was thin from years of poor food, but his mind was sharp as ever. Before the aliens came, he had been a military strategist for South Korea's defense forces. Now he was prisoner 7429. On a rock floating in space around a dead star, the prison moon held the humans that the aliens considered troublemakers, humans who had fought back, humans who had tried to escape, humans who had refused to work. Jin Woo had earned his place here by punching a Fesi overseer who had killed a human child for stealing food, but the aliens had made a mistake. They thought putting all the rebellious humans in one place would make them easier to control. Instead, they had created a concentration of human anger and intelligence. Jinwoo crawled through the narrow shaft until he reached a junction. There, waiting for him, was Haewon Kim. She had been an engineer before becoming a slave. Now she used her skills to modify the prison's equipment in ways the aliens never noticed. "Did you get the message to Sector 7? Jinwoo whispered. HAA-1 nodded. "Park received it. His team is ready. What about the others?" 15 sectors now have communication links, Jinwoo said. "We can coordinate actions across the entire prison." They had been working on this network for 8 months, using parts from broken mining equipment and scrap metal. Haewon had built hidden communication devices. The aliens' technology was advanced, but it was also old and predictable. They never thought to look for human modifications. The plan was simple but dangerous. During the next shift change, when the guards were distracted, teams in each sector would disable the surveillance systems. At the same time, other teams would sabotage the alien weapons and communication arrays. It would not free them from the prison moon, but it would send a message. Humans were not broken. Humans could still fight. Back on Earth, the message was already spreading. Sungmin Park moved through the underground tunnels beneath Seoul. The aliens had destroyed much of the city, but the subway system still existed. Humans had turned it into a secret highway for the resistance. Yu Min carried a small datapad hidden in his jacket. On it were detailed maps of alien patrol routes, guard schedules, and weapon placements. Information gathered by thousands of humans who pretended to be broken slaves while secretly watching everything. He reached a hidden chamber where 20 other resistance fighters waited. Most were young, but their eyes were old with pain and anger. They had all lost family members to the alien slave ships. "The transport arrives tomorrow at noon," Sungmin told them. 5,000 people will be loaded and sent away. "We cannot stop the ship, but we can make the aliens pay a price." The plan was to attack the loading facility. Not to win, but to show the aliens that humans would never stop fighting. Every small act of defiance was important. It kept the flame of resistance alive. "The aliens think we are animals," said one of the fighters. "Let us show them what happens when animals have nothing left to lose." On the distant world of Vega Prime, another spark of defiance was growing. Young Su-nam worked in an alien research facility. Before the invasion, he had been a xenobiologist studying the possibility of alien life. Now he was forced to clean alien laboratories and carry equipment. But the aliens did not know that young Su could read their language. He had spent years studying alien communication before the invasion. Now he used that knowledge to understand. The research being done around him. What he learned made his blood run cold. The aliens were not just studying humans for slavery. They were trying to understand why humans were different from other species they had enslaved. Most alien slaves were docile. Once defeated, they accepted their fate and worked quietly until they died. But humans kept fighting. Humans kept trying to escape. Humans kept finding new ways to cause problems. The research showed that this had never happened before. In thousands of years of galactic slavery, no species had ever been as troublesome as humans. The aliens were worried. They were trying to find ways to make humans more obedient. Young Su memorized every report he could read. Chemical formulas for drugs that might make humans docile. Genetic modifications that could make humans weaker. Plans to separate human children from their parents at birth and raise them as perfect slaves. He had to get this information to other humans. But how? The answer came from an unexpected source. Bio-Rashin worked as a translator in the alien communication center on the same world. The aliens used her to decode human messages they intercepted. They thought she was loyal to them because she always did her job perfectly. They did not know that Bao-Ra was memorizing every human message she translated. She was building a map of human resistance networks across the galaxy, and she was looking for a way to contact them. One day, while cleaning the research lab, Young Su found a chance. Bao-Ra was alone in the communication center, working late. He slipped inside and whispered to her. "I have information that humans need to know," he said. "Can you send a message?" Bao-Ra looked at him carefully. Trust was dangerous among slaves. The aliens rewarded humans who betrayed other humans. But something in Young Su's eyes convinced her. "What kind of information?" she asked. Young Su quickly told her about the research, about the drugs and genetic modifications, about the aliens' fear of human resistance. Bao-Ra's face went pale. "They are afraid of us," she whispered. "That is why they work so hard to break our spirits." "Can you send a warning to the resistance networks?" Young Su asked. Bao-Ra nodded. "I can hide a message in a routine supply request. It will take weeks to reach Earth, but it will get there." That night, Bao-Ra crafted a message disguised as a request for food supplies. Hidden in the boring text were code words that resistance fighters would understand. The aliens' plans, their fears, their weaknesses. The message began its long journey through the galaxy's communication network. From relay station to relay station, it traveled toward Earth. The aliens who handled it saw only a routine supply request. They had no idea they were carrying the seeds of their own destruction. Meanwhile, on the prison moon, Jin Wusong's plan was ready. In 15 sectors, human prisoners prepared for coordinated action. They had spent months planning every detail. They had studied guard patterns and weapon locations. They had built makeshift tools and weapons. "Remember," Jinwoo told his team, "we are not trying to escape tonight. We are sending a message. We are showing the galaxy that humans do not accept slavery." At exactly midnight, the plan began. Teams disabled surveillance cameras. Other teams sabotaged alien weapons. Communication arrays were destroyed. Guard posts were attacked. The aliens were caught completely off guard. They had never faced a coordinated prisoner uprising before. Their slaves were supposed to be broken and hopeless. But these humans fought with precision and purpose. The battle lasted 6 hours. In the end, The aliens regained control of the prison. Many humans died, many more were punished. But the message had been sent. For the first time since the invasion, humans had struck back. Not just individuals fighting alone, but organized groups working together. The news spread through hidden communication networks across the galaxy, on mining worlds and farm planets. In factories and research stations, human slaves heard the story. The prisoners on the dead moon had fought back. They had hurt their alien masters. They had shown that resistance was possible. The spark of defiance grew brighter. What had started as individual acts of rebellion was becoming something larger, something coordinated, something dangerous. The aliens began to realize they might have made a mistake. The sub-intelligent humans were organizing. They were learning. They were planning, but the aliens still believed their technology and numbers would be enough. They still thought humans were just clever animals who could be controlled with enough force. They had no idea how wrong they were. The humans were not just learning to resist. They were learning to think like their enemies. And soon, they would be ready to turn the aliens' own strengths against them. Du-Hyen Lee's hands were bleeding again. The rock was sharp and the tools they gave him were old and broken. He had been digging in this mine for 12 hours straight. His back hurt and his legs shook with exhaustion. But he could not stop. The Vorthok guards would shock him with their electric sticks if he stopped working. 3 years had passed since. The aliens came to Earth, 3 years since they took him away from his family. Du-Hyen used to be a scientist. He studied the stars and planets. Now he dug holes in the ground on a world so far from Earth that he could not even see the sun. Kepler 442b was a cold, dark planet. The Vorthok had built mining tunnels deep underground. Thousands of humans worked here, digging for rare crystals that the aliens needed for their ships. The air was thin and hard to breathe. The gravity was stronger than Earth's, making every step feel heavy. Du-Hyen pushed his cart full of crystal rocks toward the collection point. Other humans moved like ghosts through the tunnels. Their clothes were dirty and torn. Their faces were empty of hope. Most did not even look at each other. Any more. At the collection point, a Vorthok guard scanned Du-Hyen's cart. The alien looked like a walking diamond, with light shining from inside its crystal body. It made clicking sounds that Du-Hyen's translation collar turned into words. Low-quality work, human. You will receive reduced food rations. Du-Hyen said nothing. Speaking back to the guards only made things worse. He had learned that lesson many times. The guards did not see humans as people. To them, humans were just tools that could dig and carry things. That night, in the sleeping barracks, Du-Hyen lay on his thin mattress and thought about his sister Mi-Young. The last time he saw her was on the transport ship that brought them. From Earth, the aliens had separated the humans into different groups. Families were torn apart. Friends were sent to different worlds. Du-Hyen knew Mi-Young had been sent to work on farms somewhere near Proxima Centauri. He hoped she was still alive. Many humans did not survive their first year as slaves. The work was hard and the aliens did not care if humans died. There were always more humans on Earth to replace them. On Proxima Centauri B, Mi-Young Lee was indeed still alive, but just barely. She worked in massive greenhouse domes that grew food for the Namari. The gaseous aliens ate a type of plant that was poisonous to humans. Just breathing near the plants made Mi-Young sick. Every day she put on a breathing mask and protective suit. Then she spent 14 hours tending to the alien crops. The Namari overseers floated above the fields like purple clouds. They spoke in whispers that sounded like wind through leaves. Human 4847, one of them said to Mi-Young. Your section's crop yield is below acceptable levels. Explain. Mi-Young looked up at the alien. She was thin and weak from 3 years of bad food and hard work, but her eyes still had fire in them. The soil needs more nutrients, she said, and the plants need more water. I have told you this before. The Namari made a sound like an angry sigh. Humans do not make suggestions. Humans follow orders. Continue. Working. Mi-Young wanted to scream. Before the aliens came, she had been an agricultural engineer. She knew more about growing plants than these floating gas clouds ever would. But they treated her like she was stupid. They gave her broken tools and bad soil and then blamed her when the crops did not grow well. At night, in her dormitory, Mi Young lay on her cot and remembered Earth. She remembered the farm where she grew up, the smell of real dirt, the feeling of rain on her face, the sound of her mother calling her for dinner. Now her mother was probably dead. The aliens had taken the older humans first. They said old humans were useless for heavy work. Mi-young did not know what happened to useless humans, but she could guess. Thousands of light years away on Alpha Centauri, Woojin Choi was building ships for the Kelran Empire. The metal aliens had huge factories that never stopped working. Humans worked alongside alien robots, welding and cutting and assembling the massive warships. Woo-Jin had been an architect on Earth. He designed beautiful buildings that touched the sky. Now he put together pieces of alien war machines, ships that would probably be used to attack other worlds and make more slaves. The work was dangerous. The metal was hot and the tools were heavy. Many humans had lost fingers or hands in accidents. The Kelran did not care. They just replaced injured humans with fresh ones from the transport ships. "Human," a Kelran overseer said to Woojin. Its voice sounded like grinding gears. "Your welding is imperfect. Redo this entire section." Woojin looked at his work. The weld was perfect. He had done thousands of them over the past 3 years, but arguing with the aliens was pointless. They would just punish him and make him do the work anyway. "Yes, overseer," he said as he started over. Woojin thought about something he had noticed. The aliens were not as smart as they pretended to be. They knew how to use their technology, but they did not really understand it. Most of their machines were thousands of years old. They just copied the same designs over and over. Humans, on the other hand, were always trying to improve things. Even as slaves, Woojin found himself thinking of better ways to build the ships, ways to make them stronger or faster. He kept these thoughts to himself, but he remembered them. Back on Earth, things were even worse. The planet had become one giant prison camp. Alien ships filled the sky like metal clouds. Human cities were surrounded by energy barriers. Anyone who tried to leave was captured and sent off. World. Sujin Park walked through the ruins of Seoul the aliens had destroyed. Many buildings to show their power. Millions of humans had been taken away. Those who remained lived in fear, but Sujin was not giving up. She led a secret resistance movement. Small groups of humans who still believed they could fight back. They met in hidden places and made quiet plans. They gathered information about the aliens and their weaknesses. "The transport ships come every month," Sujin told her team. "They take 5,000 people each time. We need to find a way to stop them." "How?" asked one of her fighters. "Their weapons can level whole cities." "We have nothing that can hurt them," Sujin smiled grimly. "We have something they do not understand. We have human stubborn pride. They think breaking our bodies will break our spirits. They are wrong." She was right. All across the galaxy, humans were learning to survive. They were adapting to alien worlds and alien masters. They were watching and listening and remembering everything. The aliens thought slavery would make humans weak and stupid. They thought humans would forget about freedom and accept their fate, but in the minds of Kepler 442b, Du-Hyun Lee was teaching other humans about the Vorthic technology. In the farms of Proxima Centauri, Mi-young Lee was learning how alien agriculture worked. In the shipyards of Alpha Centauri, Woojin Choi was memorizing every detail of alien engineering. The aliens called humans useful beasts in their own languages. They laughed at human intelligence and human emotions. They thought humans were no more dangerous than cattle. They had no idea that cattle could learn to fight back. And they had no idea that the stupid humans were getting smarter every day. In slave barracks across the galaxy, humans whispered to each other in the dark. They shared information. They made plans. They kept hope alive. The aliens had won the first battle, but the war was far from over. Taeho Kim stood in the great hall of the Galactic Council. His hands shook as he looked around the massive room. Hundreds of alien beings filled the seats around him. Some looked like giant insects. Others were made of crystal that glowed with inner light. Some floated in the air like clouds of gas. All of them were staring at him with hate in their eyes. The room was silent except for the soft hum of translation devices. Taeho wore a small box on his chest that changed alien words into Korean. He wished he could turn it off. He did not want to hear what was coming next. The Speaker of the Council was a tall, thin creature with 6 arms and purple skin. Its voice was cold when it spoke. We have heard Earth's final appeal. Now we vote on Resolution 2847. Should the species known as humans be classified as subintelligent and suitable only for forced labor? Taeho felt his heart stop. This was it. The moment that would decide the future of all humans everywhere. He had spent 3 months on this space station. He had given speeches. He had shown them Earth's art, music, and science. He had begged them to see humans as equals. Nothing had worked. The first vote came from the Vorthek delegation. These creatures looked like living diamonds. Their leader's voice sounded like breaking glass. The Vorthek Empire votes yes. Humans are primitive. They fight each other. They destroy their own world. They are good only for simple work. Taeho's throat felt dry. He had expected this. The Vorthak had never liked humans. But he had hoped. Some species would help Earth. The Nimari were next. They looked like purple fog with glowing eyes. The Nimari Republic votes yes. Humans cannot understand advanced science. They think with emotions, not logic. They will be happier as workers who do not need to think. One by one, each species voted. The Kelran Empire with their metal bodies said yes. The Thessi Collective with their many tentacles said yes. The Zoran Federation with their huge heads said yes. Every single vote was the same. Yes, yes. Tae-ho counted them in his head. 47 different species. 47 votes, all of them against humanity. His hands became fists. Back on Earth, Sujin Park was waiting for his report. She led Earth's government now. She had trusted him to save their people. 8 billion humans were counting on him. And he was failing them all. The speaker's voice cut through his thoughts. The vote is complete. 47 votes in favor. 0 votes against. Resolution 2847 passes. The species known as humans are now classified as subintelligent property of the Galactic Council. The hall erupted in alien sounds. Some species made clicking noises, others hummed, a few let out what sounded like laughter. They were celebrating. They were happy that humanity would become slaves. Tae-ho stood up slowly. His legs felt weak. You are making a mistake, he said. His voice was quiet, but the translation devices carried it to every corner of the room. Humans are not animals. We have souls, we have dreams, we create beautiful things. We love our families. Please, I beg you to think again. The speaker looked down at him. Its 6 arms moved in what might have been a shrug. Your emotional outburst proves our point. Intelligent beings do not beg. They accept reality. Guards, remove this property from the chamber. 2 robot guards moved toward Taeho. They were tall and made of black metal. Red lights glowed where their eyes should be. Taeho did not fight them. What was the point? He was one human against a galaxy full of enemies. As the guards led him away, he heard the aliens talking. They were making plans. How to divide humans among the different species. Where to build the prison camps. What kind of work humans would do. The Vorthek wanted humans to mine crystals on frozen worlds. The Nimari needed workers for their gas refineries. The Kelran Empire wanted humans to build their ships. Every species had jobs that were too dangerous or boring for their own people. Now they had humans to do that work instead. In his small room on the space station, Taeho sat on his bed and stared at the wall. Through the window, he could see Earth in the distance. It looked so small and blue, so peaceful. The people down there had no idea what was coming. He picked up his communication device. Sujin's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired. She had been working day and night while he was gone. Taeho, she said, how did the vote go? He could not speak for a moment. How do you tell someone that their entire species just became slaves? How do you explain that every other intelligent race in the galaxy thinks humans are no better than animals? We lost, he finally said. All of them voted against us. Sujin's face went pale. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. When she opened them again, they were hard as stone. How long do we have? The fleets are already moving, Teho said. Maybe 2 weeks before they reach Earth? Then we prepare, Sujin said. We tell people the truth. We get ready to fight. Fight? Teho almost laughed, but there was no humor in it. Sujin, they have technology we cannot even understand. Their ships are the size of cities. Their weapons can destroy planets. What can we do against that? Sujin was quiet for a long time. Then she smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had nothing left to lose. We can show them they made a mistake, she said. They think we are stupid animals. They think we will give up and accept being slaves. They do not know humans very well. The communication ended. Teho sat alone in his room and thought about Sujin's words. Around him, the space station hummed with activity. Aliens were celebrating. They were planning. They were getting ready to enslave his people, but maybe Sujin was right. Maybe the aliens did not understand humans. They saw Earth's wars and thought humans were primitive. They saw Earth's pollution and thought humans were destructive. They saw human emotions and thought humans were weak. They did not see human determination. They did not see how humans could adapt and survive in any situation. They did not see how humans became dangerous when someone threatened their families. Teho looked out at Earth again. Soon, alien ships would surround his homeworld. They would land and start taking people away. They would break up families and send humans to different worlds. They would put chains on people who had never been slaves. The aliens thought this would be easy. They thought humans would accept their fate and work quietly until they died. Teho touched the window with his hand. You are going to learn something new about humans, he whispered. And you are not going to like it.